Retirement savings, lucrative interest rates, tax-free returns. Can you guess what's common between these three? The answer is government investment schemes for all you NRIs. Whether it's to diversify your portfolio, build a savings fund for yourself or for your family living in India, or earning tax-free returns, these schemes can help you with all. But before we begin, subscribe to this channel and press that bell icon. Let's get started. First up on our list is fixed deposits. Banks and financial institutions in India enable NRIs to have multiple fixed deposits or FDs across banks and bank accounts. You must determine the tenure of the FD and the amount that you'd like to deposit, based on which interest you'll earn at a regular period. As an NRI, you can have FDs in three bank accounts. First is the non-resident external account or non-resident rupee account or NRE. In NRE accounts, you deposit your money in foreign currency, which is converted to Indian rupee. You earn the interest in INR denomination and the returns are tax-free. Second, we have the non-resident ordinary account or NRO. If you have a source of earning or income in India while you live elsewhere, this type of account is apt for your FDs. You can get returns on your income earned in India. These returns are taxable and you have certain restrictions on repatriation. We know you're wondering what this new jargon means. Don't worry, we got you. Repatriation in this context means returning the money from a bank account in India to an account in the country you currently reside in. With an NRO account, you can transfer up to $1 million from your Indian account during an assessment year. While you can repatriate the interest amount freely, the principal amount can be repatriated within certain limits. Besides this, you must also submit an undertaking and a certificate from a chartered accountant. On the contrary, NRE accounts allow NRIs to repatriate the principal amount and the interest freely. Third is the foreign currency non-resident account or FCNR. If you want to open and hold a fixed deposit in a foreign currency, you must opt for the FCNR account. The returns you earn are not taxable and allow repatriation of interest and principal amount without restriction. So depending on your source of income, interest rates, tenure, repatriation conditions and taxation laws, you can choose one of these three types of bank accounts for your FDs. Now that you understand FDs, let's look at the second government investment scheme for you. Next, let's talk about National Pension Scheme or NPS. NPS is a tool that NRIs can use to save for their or their family's retirement. In this scheme, money is deposited at regular intervals and then locked in until the beneficiary turns 60 years of age, after which they claim the funds in different ways. However, there are a few layers to this. First is the eligibility criteria for the scheme. You must be between the ages of 18 and 60. You must comply with all the KYC norms. Your source of contribution to the NPS must either be an NRE or an NRO bank account. You cannot be a person of Indian origin or an overseas citizen of India. Second is the mode of portfolio management. You can choose active mode or auto mode. In active mode, you have the flexibility to determine how your funds will be invested. You can invest the funds in equity, corporate debt, or government securities based on your risk appetite. Equity refers to stocks and related instruments of Indian companies which are listed. Corporate debt refers to corporate bonds, public sector units, and public financial institutions. Government securities refer to different state and central government bonds. We'll discuss these in details at a later stage in this video. In auto mode, the fund manager will determine how to allocate your funds as well as assets without your intervention, depending on your age. It's almost like driving a manual car versus an automatic one. In the former, you determine when to change the gear, when to go fast, and at what speed you must go in. In the latter, you simply switch the mode and step on the accelerator and the car will do the rest. Now the third and final part comes at maturity. At 60, when the fund matures, you can do one or more of these things. You can withdraw a maximum of 60% as a lump sum amount. A minimum of 40% must be annuitized. This means you set aside that amount to be paid in monthly installments as a regular pension. You can stay invested in the fund with fresh investments until the age of 70. You can also wait a maximum of 3 years post-exit to purchase your annuity. You're forgetting one important factor in all this. Let me give you a moment to think. If your mind went to tax benefits, then bingo. The 60% lump sum you withdraw will not have any tax liability, which means you have to pay no tax for that amount. However, the 40% annuitized payout will be taxable. Another benefit you receive by contributing to the NPS is that the annual contribution is deductible up to 1.5 lakh rupees under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act 1961. Furthermore, an additional 50,000 rupees is deductible under Section 80CCD 1B. The third investment option now on our list is the Portfolio Investment Scheme or PIS. According to the Foreign Exchange Management Act or FEMA of 2000, portfolio investment services enable NRIs to invest in the Indian securities and stock market without residing in the country. PIS enables NRIs to access several instruments such as owning and trading non-convertible debentures, investing in the private sector, and buying bonds and securities by companies listed on the stock exchange. You need to have an NRE or an NRO account along with a demat account to invest in various bonds and securities. Furthermore, the interest rates, tenure, taxation, and repatriation conditions vary from company to company. Although NRIs can invest in the Indian securities market, they have certain restrictions. They cannot invest more than 5% of the paid up value of the company's shares or 5% of the value of each issue of the company's convertible debenture. Now that you understand the scheme, let's look at other investment instruments for NRIs. The last investment option on our list is government bonds and securities, otherwise known as GSECs. GSECs are a risk-free and safe way for NRIs to invest in India and in specific cases also allow you to save on taxes. For this, you need to have an NRE or NRO account. You can either invest in it directly through your bank or give someone the power of attorney or POA, thus enabling the person to invest in such bonds for you. Since you're abroad, you may or may not be keeping track of the developments in the country at all times. Some bonds, when issued, might be popular and thus will be quickly subscribed by others before you get the chance. This is one of the major reasons for giving the POA to someone who resides in India. The different types of government bonds you can invest in include the likes of fixed rate bonds, inflation-indexed bonds, 7.75% GOI savings bonds, zero coupon bonds, state development bonds, and treasury bills. The tenure for dated GSECs is between 5 to 40 years and the yield will vary from 6.18% to 7.72%, giving you fixed returns. For T-bills or treasury bills, the tenure is 91 days to 364 days. As NRIs, you cannot invest in floating rate bonds 2020. In general, the interest accrued on PSU bonds are tax-free bonds under Section 10. Please note that investments in these bonds do not qualify for tax exemptions. To sum up, there are several schemes and instruments the Government of India offers NRIs to invest in the country while residing elsewhere. These either help you build your wealth, create savings, and earn in India while being outside of India, get tax benefits, or have a retirement fund. To recap, the schemes and instruments we've covered are fixed deposits for NRIs, National Pension Scheme or NPS, Portfolio Investment Scheme or PIS, Government Bonds and Securities or GSECs. Any information you see in this video is only for educational purposes and we do not offer any recommendations. Follow the DYOR or do your own research rule before investing money in any instrument. Weigh the pros and cons, understand your needs and act accordingly. If you found this video helpful and valuable, hit the like button and share it with your NRI friends who will benefit from it. One last thing, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon and invest smartly. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Please read the risk disclosure documents carefully before investing in equity shares, derivatives, mutual fund, and or other instruments traded on the stock exchanges.